You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats in rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. All right, how's it going, everybody? This is Frank Castle, and this is my new show, Fearless, and you're listening to TruthFrequencyRadio.com, your protection from deception. Wow, this is a big night for us. I'm here with my co-host, Paula, who's a prayer warrior, a spiritual healer, an advisor. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Really want to say thank you to Chris and Cherie for having us and bringing the show here. We're so hyped about this right now, and I'm just so excited. So basically, this is what we're going to do. This is going to be the journey that I started a couple of years back, maybe 2 years ago. This journey is taking me to a place where I never thought I could ever be. It was weird enough from day one, the way it happened, and the whole way my world shifted. And the one thing that I found in this entire situation, with everything I've lost, everything I've gained, the people that I knew really well, people that I trusted and held close to me, family members, people I've known for 30 years, I lost so much from all this.
Yeah, in the past few years.
Just in the past few years. And I was afraid of everything. Not a few things, not a couple of things, but everything. You don't realize how deep this goes. My journey's a little weird. And so you guys, the people that know me or have heard me speak already know that I work with plant medicines. Specifically ayahuasca, sometimes DMT, mushrooms. Growing up, especially doing music, we had plenty of opportunities to party, take mushrooms, mescaline, acid, go see things like Pink Floyd, go perform on stage. It's never really affected me. It was either a good trip or a bad trip. Mm-hmm. Nothing ever stood out or affected me until I got injured. I got injured at my regular job, and I fell and I busted 5 vertebrae, 3 pinched nerves, torn rotator cuff. And during that time, they said to me, "You can't work no more. You're not going to be able to do certain things for the rest of your life. We're going to have to take rods and insert them into your back." Right? So I was a wrestling fan, so I used to think Stone Cold had 2 done, and he moved like he was stuck in a suit, like a suit of armor. And I was thinking 5.
You're never going to be able to move again.
Straight up for the rest of your life. So I was really scared, very afraid. And my path crossed paths with the plant medicine ayahuasca. And when that happened, it was from me not having anything left. They were feeding me pills, hand over fist. They just pulled me away from everything I knew. I lost everything because now you're not working. You know how that affects your fear meter, so to speak. You go from, I'm okay, I got some money in the bank, to I have nothing. I'm in negative numbers now. I have nothing left. The doctors are helping by giving me poisons to forget that I'm in pain, that you become addicted to. So they're not curing me, but they want to put rods in me. They're like, we got to work that out now at Workman's Compensation, who doesn't want to do anything for you, even though, you have everything working in your favor on one side. They say no. So now I'm afraid because my life is destroyed. It's going nuts.
Sure. It sounds like everything was upside down. You're in a financial mess, a physical mess. You don't know when money's coming in. You don't know what's going to be changing in your life. That would terrify me.
I'm terrified telling the story. I even have a little shake in me. I didn't know how to tell the story. I didn't know how to start the show. I had an idea, right? But I figured this is more of a discussion and a storytelling, like a shamanic way, kind of the old school sitting around the campfire, but with the discussion of what the hell is really going on. So I heard Joe Rogan speak about DMT. Then I heard several other characters come on his show who have went to Peru. They went and said, look, we had an addiction. We didn't know what to do. There's this plant medicine that we believe can help you. It helped them with their whatever they were afraid of. They say it removed the fear. It cleaned them out. It fixed them. It let them see in a new light. But yes, it's a heavy-duty psychedelic, and you do see crazy things, but it helps you and it loves you. When I heard that, I was like, all right, somebody's smoking crack. Somewhere they're smoking crack.
Yeah, too good to be true.
Too good to be true, right? The magic bullet? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I wait, and I hear about it, and I'm like, listen, I think I need to do this, because I'm now out of work over a year and a half, and I'm thinking, I'm not getting back to work. I'm really done. No one's coming to my rescue. I have to rescue myself. So one thing that's been positive with podcasting and research and everything, everybody's been finding different things, different ways to help themselves. All I keep seeing is like these heroic testimonials to things they did to fix their cancer, get rid of it. I lost diabetes by losing weight and eating right and going organic. So I says, all right, well, if I'm going to do this, I got to start working towards it. Well, what wound up happening is, it's amazing how the synchronicities, which we would call coincidence normally, but we're wrong. Like people...
there is no coincidence.
There's no such thing as coincidence. So we're going to take that from the table now, because we'll refer back to that quite a lot, I'm sure. Like, wow, what a coincidence, but it's synchronicity. I was going on tour for the Indie Boom, I think it was the 2014-2015 tour. Members of Wu-Tang involved. All rap stars. My buddy from Canada was coming. Everybody was going. Well, I know Chris for a long time, Chris and Cherie. So they invited me, since my first show was where they lived in Denver. They were like, just come out here. Stay with us for a few days and let's hang out. So right before the trip actually came, like 2 days before, Chris said, yo, we're going to do this here. We're going to be a team, and you're not going in Peru. You can't do this. You cannot do it. There's dangers in that. There's all different kind of dangers. The people that you hear dying while they're in Peru, most of the time the shaman isn't really doing a very good job.
Well, they're also in Peru in the rainforest.
They're getting tons of money. They're watching TV while you're speaking to spirit gods on the front lawn, and they're letting you walk off. So that's the kind of stuff that goes on. They rob you. Women like Amber Lyon, she woke up during her ayahuasca trip, and the guy was trying to grab her, he was being rude. So I know people will have problems. We're gringos, to a degree. We're the Westerners. You guys don't know what you're doing. We could just run the mill on you. So being in the comfort and a safe place of people you trust and people you care about that have experienced this, I find is truly, I would suggest that over traveling to the rainforest any day.
So you were invited by
Chris to stay there at his place. Okay, so he told me we're gonna go now, and you're not gonna have to go down to Peru. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm going in head first. I need to be healed. I need to be saved. I need to see what is going to. I didn't even care about what people said about entities and demons and this and that. There's stories across the board. Prior to this, I had basic knowledge. I was a political. I was a truther. I wasn't political. What I was doing was speaking the truth, and like liberty movement type things were picking me up, playing my music that was 10 years older than their movement. You know, like the movement dies off and then comes back. Right. But people that are involved, they just put the music out to that. They do the music that they do, and then it brings them to the forefront of whatever movement is happening. So I meet all these great people. That's all great. But I really didn't know what was going on. Like, I'm a rapper, a rocker. I'm hanging out. I'm so busy with everything that has to go on in that weird career that who thinks about spirituality? I run from church. I get nauseous when I'm in there.
Well, that's the basic mistake people make. They confuse spirituality to mean religion. And I think once they make the break from that, it's easier to understand. So you were always a more spiritual person anyway, from what I understand, than you were ever religious.
Well, I felt that there was more. There has to be more. I mean, we can't just be here like plop on the planet. Like we're gonna just go back to these weird moments for a second before, the ayahuasca trip, because prior to that, like I was a Catholic school kid. I was deathly afraid of the priests. They were always around, nuns always around. Never felt comfortable. Nothing ever felt right. But we're not just here. Like I believe that we're not just a flash in the pan, that we are more than what we even think. I mean, we're so busy with everything else. Who thinks about these things? Yeah. Right? Everyone who does is a new age hippie. You're a hippie. That's what I got called. I get called hippie all the time. I'm like, because you say love, and they hear new age, and you're a hippie. Get out of here. Go back to work. Go find something to do. So that's where my head was. Yeah, so I had no idea what was going to happen. Yeah. I'm like, this is going to be cool. I mean, Chris is my boy. I trust him with my life. What I was hearing from them was just amazing. To me, they were amazing tales of awesomeness. I'm a comic book fanatic. Love superheroes, all kinds. My story is very not far from the cartoon life of that was going on. When I start hearing about non-human entities and things talking to you, I start to go, but I've had these weird moments in my life where I've told this story many times. I'm not going to share it right at this moment, but I've seen ghosts. I've seen dead family members in my house speaking to me, wide awake. Like they're physically can be touched, but not. You can feel the energy coming off them. I mean, frightening stuff.
So you were already familiar with the idea of entities.
Yeah, it was it was loosely intertwined with my life because I believed in all that stuff. I just didn't believe in religious stuff. I don't know why. I just felt man-created religion. They're whipping me and beating me in school, throwing books at me, forcing me to do things. So this can't be love in any way, shape, or form. And Jesus the whole time preaches love. As a matter of fact, he says quite a lot of things that were opposite of what was going on there. And when you'd ask about it, they would just, you're going to detention, say 25 Our Fathers, Hail Marys. You know, I have a family member that used to be a priest, and he did my first confession with me, and he screamed at me. And then when I talked to him later in life, we're fine, but I was frightened of him. And he was like, you kind of got to get over it. And I thought to myself, no, I'm not afraid of you like that. You made me say 25 Our Fathers. I was like in first grade, dude. That's like 10 hours worth of chanting. Yeah. Wait, 25 Hail Marys while kneeling in front of a guy nailed to the cross. His head's hanging. There's blood on it. I'm like, they're talking about.
So it instilled fear in
Listen, drink of my blood. Mm-hmm. Eat of my flesh. Mm-hmm. I'm like, is this dude a zombie vampire? Like, I don't get it. Why do... Anyway, let's not.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Back to Chris's.
Back to what was happening. So now I'm injured. I took a spinal epidural before I went. I was in pain. I was on painkillers for a year. Stopped taking them because I felt that disgusting pull. Everything I did was light. I didn't do OxyContin. It was just the what do they call Percocets? Well, people need to know this because this is another fear-based thing. Like, oh, I can't live without my pills. My pills. Like they do that all the time. Like, oh, I came off the pills. I straightened out my system. I just so happened to be fasting. I don't fast. I'm Italian. I stuff food in my mouth.
Yeah.
Nom, 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 nom,
We
nom.
don't know what the word fast means.
Yeah. Fast means put more in your mouth quicker because there's more food coming.
Faster.
And when you come from a family that was poor and had nothing and then have all these family members and have something and your grandfather's a butcher, you're going to eat or we're going to beat you. No, my family's really, really good. But yeah, they they throw food at you constantly.
So you happen to fast anyway.
Another synchronicity.
Okay.
Chris said, make sure you do this. And I said, it's amazing. I haven't really eaten in 2 days at all. Like all right. So I take the non-fear approach because all the guys that are around are taking the non-fear approach. The first thing I did was smoke DMT because I was told that would be better for me. They're like, you need to see what's going on because some people need to see and believe because I started saying stuff like, all right, that sounds a little much.
Mm-hmm.
I could dig with a ghost. I can dig with some weirder stuff, UFOs, aliens, things like that. Now I was getting into interdimensional heaven and hell, things that don't exist to me. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Okay. So then I had listened to a little bit Terrence McKenna. I mean, so little. Right before I had went on this trip, thinking I was going to become the spiritual, Frank's going to do it, right? He says to take the third hit when you smoke DMT. He said, you got to take the third hit to break through. So Chris and the guys, they were adamant. Got to do it. So I'm thinking, I'm doing it.
Yeah. What's the big deal?
All right.
I'm doing it.
Now I'm going to walk you through this because my fear is on the table right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to lose my fear to do this. Some people bungee jump. Some people jump off cliffs. They drive their car fast. They do crazy things,
Oh,
right?
totally. Yeah.
I dare you to do this. I dare you because I've done all that. I've done the craziest things. I've performed in front of thousands and thousands of people screaming at the top where you almost want to faint from the heat on stage. And nothing prepares you for that third hit. Because I was on hit number 2 and Chris was I got you, buddy. I got you. I'm like, all right, I got this. And then they were going to offer me the third hit. And I said, I just put my hand up like, nah, the room's transformed. Like I didn't know what was happening. And I heard a voice go, take the third hit. And I went, what did you say to me? Like I just looked up, what did you say? And he's like, is someone talking to you? And I go, yes. It was echoing in my head so loud. And he's like, you must take the third hit. Okay. Classic example of what I heard.
So did you take the third hit?
I took that hit and the room went, all right, I've started to see colors that I never seen before, ever.
It's beautiful.
It's the most insane thing. And then it looked like to me, now that I know what I'm looking at, it looked like a portal opened right in front of me, right behind Chris. And I sat back and I got so scared. I started feeling like I don't know how to explain this. See, people say that's what it feels like when you're dying. You're slipping out of your body or something. I was so frightened. I reached for Chris and I went to hold his hand and I was like, oh my God. And my hand went through his body and I went, I'm not in my body
anymore.
And I looked back and I went, no, look at I was like, I'm drooling. I felt something wet on my lips and they put me back in my body. And a voice said to me as this giant, gorgeous, swirling hole portal entrance of the coolest colors ever. But this thing was talking to me. And I went back into my body and I felt that, no, that's my tongue. That's just moist. Mm-hmm. Wait. And then I went, oh God, it would be this. And it just pulled me directly through that portal. When I hit the face of the portal, although you could tell it's a hole, there's like a membrane over it, a wall of color. I went through it, like I was just standing and pushed right through it. And I felt soaking wet everywhere.
Like the Stargate movie when they go through the Stargate. Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
this is how I know they know what's going on. Because I can tell from my experience who knows what. Okay? We're going to cover this in future episodes. So I step through and I'm soaked. And I start crying like making the weird noise. Now, Chris told me on the other side, I was like, He goes, you were out and you were going like you were breathing hard. Now, on the other side, what was happening was I was just standing there going, I'm soaking wet and then I'm dry. So I'm just standing there thinking that thought in open space. It looked like there was nothing. There was just nothing. And then I went, oh my God, what's happening? Where am I? Like I'm just floating in space. There was nothing. And all the way off in the distance, I see a red cobra head. And it's moving. It's like the background of when you see those pictures when they take like of galaxies. Mm-hmm. It just started moving. And then I said, oh, that's a giant red snake. Oh my God. Start shaking. And then I hear, it was a weird noise. And this white thing came from the snake all the way in the background. It was moving towards me like a tube. And then I hear, breathe. You got to breathe. And I took a deep breath and I went, oh my God. And I went into my body, then back out again. Now I'm standing there and I go, okay, I think I got this now. And I was shaking like a leaf. I said, where am I? What is going on? What the hell are you? And who's talking to me?
And did someone answer you?
I heard, if the universe had a heartbeat and an area where this was the heart. And then the red snake in the background pumped. He did like this bubbled up thing and it shocked the entire background, and it moved like electricity towards me, but it was red.
Wow.
And it sounded like a heartbeat, like a dum-dum, and then it all moved. And then it started doing it in rhythms. And I said, wow, this is amazing. So now that was cool within itself. But then I said, who's talking to me? I need to know who's talking to me. This is where it gets absolutely frightening. I don't know how to explain this. I heard the voice look up. I looked up. And everything was white. I mean, bright white. So white that you couldn't see in front of you. Like those massive fogs where you're just lost in it. Okay, it was that, except I felt love everywhere so intensely. Never
that sounds beautiful.
Oh, it sounds beautiful, but what the hell is going on? I'm not in my body. Now, I think I'm dead, but I'm totally aware. I'm more aware and feel more alive than I've ever felt in my life.
Oh, I'm sure.
I said, this is amazing. Like I was like, why is this so good? That's what made me think, what the white light. Okay, so I'm going to see him now. So I said,
him being who?
God, is that you? And then I hear, you're not going to call me God, right? Well, he made it like we, meaning everyone. We're going to just get rid of that. And you're going to call me the creator. I am source. And I said, holy, so you're source. And as I was about to cry in his presence, like, and I say his because it was a male voice, I became so angry and enraged. And I was like, I finally got you. I'm sitting down. I'm in your light. I don't know what this is.
Yep,
so
you looked behind the curtain. You finally got him.
I said, let me tell you something, buddy. You left us. You left us on that planet. Do you see what you're doing? And I went on. It felt like I was reading this angry rant that I had prepared somehow. And I was like, how dare you? Who makes you better than us? And then he just said, hold on. You know where we are? Do you know who you are? And I said, I don't know anything, apparently. And what is this? And he turned me around, he grabbed me, but it wasn't a him. It was like an energy force, spun me around, and there was a reflection. There was a mirror, and in the reflection was me. And what I saw was, I could describe myself as a light body. It looked like the Silver Surfer, but made of pure light. It was so awesome looking. I was so awesome looking.
So basically you saw your true self.
I went, oh my God. And he goes, stop using that word. You have to stop. I don't want you using that word ever again. And I said, why? And he says, it denotes someone being above you and better than you and you giving reverence to them. You are to never do that again. And I said, well, why would I not do that? And he turned me back around and I saw him. And it was me. Mm-hmm. All right. It was a bigger version, but it was exactly the same. And I said, wait a second. And then I started, here come the tears, pouring tears. Oh my God.
Well, sure. Your emotions must have been raging.
I said it again. Oh my God. And then I heard lowercase g, please. Like they always say that to me, lowercase g, because you don't, I guess when I get excited, I'll do the, oh my God. All right. Now, I'm in total awe and I'm going, wait, I'm you, but I'm not you. I'm not you. And he goes, no. Look again. And I turned around and everyone that was like on the planet, that's what I was showing at first, right? It was like regular people. And then I saw they had the light in them, which was basically everyone. Some people do not. And that has something to do with them not being people. But that's a whole nother.
Another show.
Yeah. So I seen the connection, and then a web formed, and then I pulled back, and it was the universe. And then it pulled back, and there was more universes, and everything was connected.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So you were connected to Source, which is God. It's God on crack for those. It's a when you've become enlightened, it's you have a better and a bigger understanding of what God truly is, and I think that's what you're saying you've experienced, and that's beautiful.
Well, what was beautiful about it was, all right, when I was told and shown to be, all right, here's fear again. I was like, oh no, I'm not you. All right, you're listening to Fearless on TruthFrequencyRadio.com. We're going to go back to Source right after the break.
Sometimes I feel like I'm running down the sands of time. Another drink of ayahuasca just to free my mind. I hope to find another day what I've lost before. I'm trying to find my second wind so I can live some more. Don't try to tell me how it is or what can't be done.
Truth Frequency with Chris and Shuri Gio. Friday and Saturday on Truth Frequency Radio.
Am I a weak or is this a dream? A fantasy where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
All right, I'm Frank Castle, and welcome back to the show, Fearless. And for those that are curious, that is me right there doing Come Alive, my single, from hopefully my upcoming EP I should have out eventually, called Box of Lies. And you could check out anything we do on HeistClick at HeistClick on YouTube. You could just Google us. We're on Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and our own stuff. All right. I just want to just let you guys know we're covering a lot of material, and I know I jump around a little bit, but I'm only doing an hour segment. And so for the first few shows, I want to kind of speed it up because now we have other things that are actually happening now.
Well, you want people to hear your story and hear how it originally began, so that's fine. I'll rein you back in.
Okay, no problem. And it's a cool story, and I'll try to keep it non-confusing for everyone. So where were we? We were back at Source, and I was figuring out we're all connected.
Yes, you were speaking to Source.
Okay, once I felt the responsibility factor of being Source, like I think I thought God in my head still, and I was saying to myself, I'm not God. I don't want to be God, right? And then it's too much responsibility. Like I'm having a hard enough time, and this is already. Yeah, so it showed me, hey, listen, you're a little piece of me, but you're me. So I said, okay, I'll deal with this now. But he goes, but do you know who you are, though? And other than, because you have your own personality outside of me, because you're supposed to go out and create. So I have a question for you, he says. I says, okay, I'll answer any questions. Apparently, I should be pretty good at this. And he says, okay, now that you know you're the creator, how come you're not out creating? How come you're not doing your job?
Did you have an answer?
I felt at that one moment, if my etherical foot could go right into my mouth, I just said, you got a point there, buddy. I don't really have an answer for you, but I do music. And he's like, okay, that's creation. That's creating. That's good. That's good. You like doing it? Yeah, I like doing it. All right, well, that's good. What else are you doing? I said, all right, now we're going to get into feeding the homeless. Is that where we're going with this? Everything with religion seems to insert itself as I'm arguing points. Which side? I don't believe in the religion, but yet here it is coming up, bullet points. And he's like, okay, we have a problem with this. It was like he ran a hand down in between me and split religion and then me, like there was with no religion. So he's like, we're going to remove this from you completely. We don't care about the stories. We don't care about anything, right? They're like, you need like morals, thou shalt not kill and all that. You need to know stuff like that. That's common sense stuff. You shouldn't kill. You should teach them, look, you don't rape, you don't kill, those are morals. You don't need religion for that. The parables and the stories, a little bit feel good. You should try to understand, but he starts telling me none of these things really exist the way you even think. You're reading a book made by man, written by man, with nothing from source. It was like, this is a man-written book on stories that were passed down. So by the time it gets to like the King George one, or I know, I don't, but it's been rewritten, it's been touched. He was explaining so many times that any good parts of the story have been stepped on so much that it puts you into a system of control. Thus, man controls you, keeping you from your true spirit self.
So they were basically showing you how to separate religion from spirituality, from your
spirit, yes.
Spirituality.
All right. I think Jesus said stuff like, God is within you. I think people take this the wrong way because they outsource their prayer to God, right?
Yes, because I think people think God is separate or apart from us.
Yeah, like you
God
pray
truly
outward to him, like, oh, up there, Lord God, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, wrong. You're doing it wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. I get excited about this stuff.
Well, this was your experience.
Okay. Yeah, look, there it is right there in the chat room.
Thank you. King James Bible. Thank you.
Yeah, so it gets completely weird when we get to this level now of crazy. Where were we?
So we were talking about your experience and you realizing that you are source.
Oh yeah, and the connections to source. And your prayer, because I took prayer differently. Prayer is, oh ye, O Lord, save me from this sin, and right, you're always a sinner and a bad guy. Like I'm a piece of trash up front. Like I was born a piece of dirt. Now I have to pray, beg, grovel my way back up to you. Now we're going to get into who that character is that you're actually praying and groveling to, but that's not God. That is, as Chris likes to call him, the Yahweh virus. As I like to say, it's an AI system that's working alongside another group or two that are feeding off the fear. I can't remember their names right now. Archons. Yeah, I don't like to say the name.
And we'll come back to that. But we're still in your DMT experience. So I want to stay on this so people can understand what you experienced while you were on DMT.
Right. So then it showed me through you inside your house, your holy temple. He showed me my body. He showed me that it was basically robot-like on the etherical side. There's like robot etherical parts where they had chakra points and all kinds of weird things. He was showing me that. Then the soul body goes into the flesh machine.
Yes.
Okay. You have a direct line. It's like a 45-degree angle or something. It goes off the side of your head directly to source. People don't see this sometimes, but a lot of people claim to have seen this. Like when you're floating out of your body, you have a tether to yourself and you have one to source. Okay. So once you see this, and he said, look, talk inward to me. Like, hey, listen, I need to be stronger. Whatever your internal prayer becomes, where it's not groveling to a God. And then you start getting answers. You start hearing.
Speaking to source.
You start speaking to source. There's like this highway system behind the scenes of it's like you, your subconscious, your higher self, your astral self, your etherical self, like it just bomb all the way back up to source. So I didn't know any of this existed. I didn't know the astral plane, it only existed to me in X-Men comic books, right? The etheric plane only existed in, superhero worlds. And
Right. And now,
with
and
the
now you're
mind control of
realizing,
Doctor whatever.
now you're realizing it's real.
I'm
It's
like,
all
wait,
real.
so this is real. With that, now that's a whole. So now Source releases me back, and I guess I'm starting. I blasted through during this experience, so I was working my way back down, and on the way back down, now I'm feeling empowered, by the way, but I'm realizing how much is actually real because I'm looking down at everything, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm in a high level of some sort, and I'm looking straight in, and I can see everything from Source outward. And I start asking things like, where's gravity? Where's time? Why don't I feel time? And they started explaining. So during these explanations, things started getting even weirder. The next person I was introduced to was Lucifer, which was beyond in itself. Once again, oh, look, it's Lucifer.
And this is all with this one single DMT trip.
Yeah, this is...
It's a lot of information.
This is nothing. This goes on with each character. All right, so I see Lucifer. He has the wings, but they're kind of small to his back. He's got this giant spear, and he looks like anyone that knows wrestlers, like Hercules Hernandez, like really built, kind of balding on the top, but the hair on the side was out, and he was very muscular. And he was standing there, and he said, I am Lucifer. And I said, so you're the devil, huh? I says, I'm going to have a word with you now. And he said, who told you that I was the devil? And I said, well, everyone says Lucifer is the devil. And he says, do you know that there's no such thing as really the devil? The way those are like thought form entities that you create. Mm-hmm. That's like the hell you live in. You create these things like the devil, like, And I said, so what are you? Because you kind of look like me, technically. Like my dad looks like Hercules Hernandez. He was a bodybuilder. I have the same shape and form. They look like the Roman god statues. And I was like, wow, it's amazing how he looks like Neptune or the guy, anyone with the trident. And I go, I seen movies with you. And these other characters play you. And he's like, I'm known by a lot of things, but I'm an information source. I'm of the light. I'm here. I'm the light. Look, I'm the next level down.
Well, one of our listeners wrote light bringer. Lucifer is the light bringer.
Right.
So yeah, that would make sense.
And I'm thinking this guy's the devil guy. He's going to change into the horned. I'm going to eat your soul. He was the nicest guy. He's a warrior. Yes. He reminds me of, and I only know this because recent events, what Archangel Michael looks like, the way they draw him, where he's just gigantic with the giant wings. They seem to be very similar, but I had problems with angels and things because I didn't think I didn't want them to think they existed. I thought this was all baloney. So I'm like, when people say, oh, my angel on my shoulder, I'm like, yeah, right. Those are ghosts and all kinds. I had my own warped theory on these events. So I say to him, then what are you? And he said, I am an information source. And the source becomes corrupted through human interaction. They do rituals, sacrifices, blood and sex rituals to bring forth thought form demonic entities as well as myself. Apparently you can connect to them through different ways. If I could just tell you, hey, just smoke a lot of DMT and call his name like 5 times, you're going to see him there. He'll come right to you. That's how you do it. But a lot of people do other things. They do dark rituals and magic. All that stuff is real. And those are accesses to these entities. But I compared him once again to a Google, right? He said to me, if I could give you the answer to any question, I'm here to give you information. Mm-hmm. And you ask me something crazy like how to murder children and satanic rituals so I could get the power. I'm going to tell you how to get it. But if you go and do it, you're the evil one.
That's on you.
That's on you. This is a big misconception. He was mad, but he was very understanding to the point where, like, he found it funny, the devil thing. He's like, you all, I guess he gets sick of hearing it almost. But it was funny the way he presented it. And then I said, well, you're all these other characters too? I was like, you're Poseidon. That's you. You're Aquaman. And he's like, that's King of the Sea. But yeah. He goes, It's King of the Down on Earth thing. They just made it Aquaman. They give him that spear. That shit is real. I seen the hooks on it and everything, and I was staring at it going, you look just like these guys. And they're like, okay. They sent me on the way with this knowledge. I have to get to this specific point because I know we only have 15 minutes left in the show. I want to end it on a good note, even though my fear is very strong on this level. I go down one notch, like one layer, and descend under Lucifer, which was weird because I thought he'd be the lowest descension out there. Meanwhile, he's one step from source. Well, I step into a realm of pure red. Everything is red.
Okay. It
filled my body with red. Every shade of red, everything. And there was this beautiful energy coming from a woman. It was feminine energy, and it was raw beauty, powerful beauty, and super amounts of love. And I seen her radiating it from across. She was right across from me, but it looked like a woman within the energy. And I was like, oh my God, who's this? This is beautiful. And then I heard, I am love. I am ISIS. And I went, oh, get out of here. The terrorist organization made it all the way to the spiritual world. And she was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That I might save that for the next show because that's very important of why they actually use ISIS for the terrorist organization against your spirituality. So it negates love on the other side as much as you hate having ISIS around.
Okay, so you saw ISIS.
And then she said, welcome in. And the energy flooded me. So I got filled with all the love. And then I started getting lost in there's like a beauty to it. And you're just swaying in this ocean of it. And as I got really far lost into it, I started getting scared. I said, what's going on here? And the red on the dark, dark end was crazy. It was just like a crazy sensation. I go, what is this feeling? And they're like, you ever love somebody that much that you want to kill them? And I said, no, but you're so cute. I just want to kill you. I want to keep you as mine. That's a tainted love.
Really?
But it is still part of, like, it still comes from that first thought of love. So it's crazy all the way over here, but it also goes all the way over here.
Right.
And she dragged me all the way over to the other side, and it was like this beautiful red. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, lowercase g. And I felt that I was being held like in a giant arm, like in cradle position, but sitting upward behind like this. It sounds weird, behind a boob almost. And I was like, this is amazing. Then I went, are you my mother? And then she was like, well, of love and the universe, yeah, you could say that. I am your mother. And then I was like, this is awesome. Oh.
See, now that sounds like the divine feminine.
Oh, no, this was the super divine feminine. This is what emanates the everything with love. It's an archetype, right? So if this is a computer simulation, it's the archetype that runs the background section of what's happening for, like, if love had to be programmed in, this is that specifically, kind of like in the Matrix when you had the lady that was talking to Neo constantly. They had to have her, even though she was made by the system.
Yeah.
Because without her being made to help the humans fight, the humans are going to know this is baloney and they're going to lose crops.
So how did you feel? How did you feel dealing with all of that love?
I was scared. Once again, frightened, and I needed like a mommy hug. And I was like looking over the boob almost like, oh my God, lowercase g, look at what I'm seeing. So when you start to see things like that, I thought I was delusional. I said, this is delusional, but there's nothing, I don't feel bad or weird. I actually feel like this is right. And I was like fighting that thought the whole time. That's when it gets weird again. I see in the background, I start to get calmer. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm out of the red. I'm kind of just floating into calmness. And in the background, I see a woman. And now they don't look like me and you sitting here.
Okay.
They look like it. I thought it was like being in a cartoon, but the characters were alive, and they weren't like goofy cartoon characters. They were like powerful, beautiful. It was very weird. The colors were so outrageous. So the woman was dancing, and I could have swore it was a snake woman. I thought it was Medusa. I really did. Mm-hmm. I saw the hair moving, and they have this weird dance they do on the other side. Like everything flows with the energy. So as they move with everything, kind of. Like it almost reminds you of the belly dancing when they... Mm-hmm. Okay. So I look up, and she's far away. I look away and notice there's nothing around. I'm wondering about gravity again. And I look back, and she's like 15 feet away from me, moving on an angle closer to me. And I look at her, and she catches my eye. She looks right into my eyes. And I absolutely start feeling like I'm having a heart attack. Like, I'm like, yo, she's real. Oh my God. Oh my God. She's looking at me. Oh my God. I couldn't control. Like, she could hear from her. As soon as she looked at me in the eye, she could hear me. And she didn't say anything, and she got right up to my face, and I cried. I screamed like, oh my God, lowercase g, and boom, they put me back behind the boob again in this woman's arms, and she was saying, no, it's okay, you don't have to see that, and they pushed it out of my vision, and then put me in this white, I've heard people talk about this, it was like... It almost looked like for an infant, like a room for a baby that you put like a cradle in. Mm-hmm. And there was a beautiful white crib and everything. And I said, oh, I feel like I'm at home. And they like floated me over these things. And I said, oh, okay. Almost like a recovery place for a moment to get you to feel good again, to go back. And then slowly I felt like I was passing through like a liquid floating through space and going backwards back towards my body. I was passing through layers and levels. Whereas I was passing through them, I could hear the goo, like plasma. Yeah. I could hear it colliding with other liquid making noise, and I couldn't see my arms. So I was kind of wiggling, going like, oh man, what is happening to me? And as I'm looking up, I start to see the pyramid with the eye. That's on your dollar bill? Yes. Mm-hmm. I gooed out. I landed right there. And it was the soul me again. And I'm like, oh, look at me. And this eye looked at me. And I was so scared of the eye. It was like, what are you doing? And I go, oh my God, there's a giant eye on top of a pyramid, like on the dollar bill. What's happening here? And that's when it starts making sense. The eye starts breaking my attention away from when I start looking at everything. I'm a button pusher. You leave me in a room, you're like, hey, don't touch nothing. I'm touching everything. I'm going to walk around the room and go, this wall is just, and what a lovely shade of color. And I'm just going to run my hands over stuff. And I was doing that there, and I seen that there were people not paying attention to the eye. And I seen right on below a level on that pyramid was Chris, which was amazing. And he was sitting at a desk, and he was screaming at the people not paying attention. So I'm like, hey, buddy, you see all those people not looking, and the eye's like, get over here, come up here. So I'm looking at the people. They're looking at a wall across from the eye, and the eye's projecting an image on it, and everyone's paying attention to it. And there's random few people that aren't. So I said, oh, my God, the eye's paying attention to me, and I'm thinking Lord of the Rings-ish. I didn't really think any of that was real. Like, that's nonsense to me. Well, it sounds surreal. It sounds unbelievable. I come over to where the layer is right below the eye. I see Chris, and he's screaming from a desk, and he has these giant speakers, and they're just blasting out over the people. And some people were turning around and looking, and they were seeing what was happening, and we were calling them towards us. So I jumped up on the layer. The eye stared at me and said, you have to take your place on the wall right there. So I walked by it. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I actually had to walk in front of it, walk by it, look it in its eye, which was gigantic. And as I looked into the eye, I seen there were things behind the eye. There were desks, like very futuristic-y looking. And there were these little things working. Some of them were kind of greenish, some of them were kind of grayish, and they were working on some kind of computer desk. So you went from spirituality to artificial intelligence. In the same trip. Yes. And you saw Chris in your trip. Yes. That's amazing in itself. Well, there was multiple times where we were, during the next few days together, that we'd open our eyes from an experience and witness the exact same thing happening to both of us, like a shared experience. This is when it just gets more and more and more real. Well, the eye, I want to end the show with the eye tonight. The eye says to me, take your place. There were 12 other souls, light bodies, standing in front of the eye. Everybody like took a place a few feet apart from each other. And in front of my position, there was a giant crack in the wall behind me. I mean, it was gigantic. And I said, oh, there's a giant crack. And they said, well, your job, nobody likes. Your job is to guard that crack and make sure nothing comes in to get us.
To defend the crack. To
defend the crack, exactly. And I said to myself, oh, wow, that's kind of a cool job. Like, wow, right? And then he turned his eye away from me, and I'm like just standing there now, like, okay, this is boring. Like, he's not looking at me now.
Who's attacking?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there's nothing coming in the hole. So I hear like it almost sounded breezy, like shh. And I said, I'm going to go outside and look. And everyone that was on that layer was, don't you dare look.
Because you got to touch all the buttons, Frank. Go ahead.
I stuck my head out that crack and went, there's nothing here. They were telling me the Satan energy was coming in. Mm-hmm. And I said, there's nothing here. I was like, you're telling me the sky's pink. I'm telling you it's blue. There's nothing going on here. So I went outside and looked, and oh my God, lowercase g, freedom. Pure freedom. I thought I was in the open universe and realized when I went back into where the crack was, I was looking around. I'm like, y'all don't know no freedom's outside. It's actual freedom. There's no roof over our head. It was like a cathedral mosque looking roof over me. There was a pyramid within it. So I thought I was in the universal spiritual layer of, I'm like, it's the eye on your money. There's a Babylonian God money system. That's real. Remember, I was out making money, not thinking of anything like this.
This is amazing.
Yeah, I was going from chemtrails and, chemicals in your food and fluoride in the water. Conspiracy theories to this. I was an avid UFO alien kind of interest. And that was my side thing with comic books and then performing and doing, I had a limited amount of things I could control and do. So this was all it. So when this happened, I'm looking at the dollar bill later on, like, this thing is real.
It's real.
There's an artificial eye. Now, I knew it was artificial. I thought it was real. From a distance, it looks like an eyeball. And I'm thinking God, character number 10, is looking in through this crack. And that's the eye. And no, I get there and it's an artificial eye and there's things working behind it. And they're getting everyone to concentrate opposite of the eye itself. So across the room, so to speak, there's an empty wall. Images are being projected and everyone's looking at it. And as they look, their lights go dim.
So that's a metaphor. But we're going to have to stop here because I want people to really pay attention to what you're saying. And we have 1:05 left. So do you want to...
What, do shout-outs?
Yeah, do shout-outs or let people know what you're going to talk about next episode.
Yeah, well, we're just going to pick up where we left off with the eye because this is my first DMT experience, and it lasted an hour and a half, and learning to become a shaman was hard. And remember, everybody, don't forget to check us out every Saturday night on truthfrequencyradio.com, and check out Heist Click on YouTube. HEISTCLICK. GFR, your protection from deception. I love it. Do you have any shout outs that you want to give?
No, I'm good.
You're good? All right, but don't forget to let your light shine bright, everyone, in the darkest